I just am terrible at this. Can you see my green screen? And I'm half an hour late again. It's like I do it on purpose, right? So I don't normally not set my alarm, but I think this makes 2 Saturdays in a row. And stupid camera. And I don't have I downloaded a program to control my camera better, and it's sitting on my desktop. It's not been installed. I have to pay for it still. I was going to test it. Anyhow, so anyway, I woke up half an hour late, and so I'm half an hour late. And then you can see my green screen, and you can see the color on my camera. You're gonna watch it fade in and out. It's not gonna be, what's the word? Focused. Speaking of, good morning. Here's to coffee. It's not gonna be focused. And I mentioned this somewhere else. Man, if you don't know, I had a program that worked great. It was wonderful, and then Catalina killed it. And so now I got to find another program to make this Logitech camera and my other Logitech camera not do random weird stuff. And yeah, they make one, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It does not let you do high def, at least not the way it should. You can't mess with colors the way you should. So there is a program called Eyelids or something like that. So I may be doing that live with you this morning. That might be where we go, trying to get the camera to work. Because, I don't know. Or otherwise, I don't know. We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. It is Morning Chill, and at the bequest of one particular Patreon supporter, Morning Chill is just going to be Morning Chill today. No plan, just chat. See what comes up. And I will save Mad Mondays for a little later in the day. By the way, speaking of Mad Mondays, what do you think of the newsletter so far? I'd love to hear your comments, and I'd love to hear your feedback. What's valuable? What's not valuable? Are you a 1-year, 3-year OT exile lectionary watcher, listener? Is that what you're interested in? I definitely want to keep the OT lectionary going, and I would like to keep some sort of commentary on a lectionary going. Whether I should keep all 3 of them going, that's my question, as I'm trying to figure out, what is the best. You start projects sometimes. I shifted tangent here for a thought, but you start a bunch of stuff because you think you want to do it, and that's good. That's how you find out what you want to do, and then you get to a point where, okay, so now what's really working? You have to reassess. So that's what I want to do, is I want to reassess Mad Mondays and ask, is it working? Is it not for you? Because if it's not working for you, then I don't know why I'm doing it, right? So I need your feedback on that. So especially on the lectionary stuff. I'm curious about what you think about the other stuff, the more fun stuff. I don't say much about it, right? Wouldn't it be interesting if I had a little video on each of those things? But that's just so much work. Each video is so much work post-production, right? And just to put a picture on it, it takes a bunch of time. That's not going to change that if I do that. So it takes a bunch of extra time, and then so nothing is smooth with this system of doing things. And there are so many little things. Even this morning, I went in and my normal way of streaming live didn't work suddenly. And I had to go to YouTube and reset up a new stream event, which I don't even know. My lighting's so bad right now in here. I wonder if this green screen would even work. I wonder if we can try it. I don't even know how to try it right now. I haven't done any of that research. So, because that's really boring to hear me say that, I need y'all to hop in with something here. I can go find a question. Let's see, where am I keeping those right now? I have a pile of them. Oh, where are my questions? Let me think. I can do this instead. Oh, this is an idea. I don't know where my questions are at the moment. I have a list. I had my daughter catalog a bunch of them and send them to me. But what I do have is some video thoughts and ideas. But since one of you's piping up, I'd much rather talk to you this morning than my own ideas. So, Pat, here we go. Let's see what you got to say. Pat says, you may have addressed this in an older video. If so, I haven't run across it yet. Why did Jesus always tell people not to tell others about their healings, etc.? Right. Well, that's it's not the $1 million question, but it's like the $600,000 pyramid question. It's almost at the top of the whole thing. That's a question that scholars have wrestled with ever since there were scholars. I don't know about the church fathers, honestly, what they thought about it. But scholars call that the messianic secret, right? So Messiah, right, like the Christ, the anointed one, but then his secret, and the fact that he was always telling people to keep it a secret and that it didn't work, right? That's the other thing. Like he says, don't tell people, and like they immediately disobey him constantly. And they also noticed as they were looking at this that it happens in Mark more than anywhere else. Mark seems to really have this be like a major theme for him, whereas the other synoptics, Matthew and Luke, they'll hint on it or touch on it, but it's not like all the time. And then this gets connected to the way they started to view Mark as the original writing and Matthew and Luke as being built out of it, which that's probably not true, at least not the way that they would teach it back then. So we're not going to try to even go there today unless someone asks and knows about it. So hold on, coffee and blurry camera, yay for that. So no one has an answer. I mean, every answer that's ever given to this is basically, well, we got to make up a reason. Here's our best guess. And I think the general consensus best guess is something along the lines of, well, there's kind of two of them, but I think the real one is Jesus knew when he was supposed to die. It had been the plan from ages foretold. He discovered it, I believe, humanly speaking, he was finding it in the scriptures. He could see it coming the entire time. He knew what his job was and when his time would come. And in that, he had to do crowd control to make it happen. Because if it got out of control too fast, they would kill him before the appointed time. Now, could he do super Jesus power and walk through a crowd and not get pushed off the cliff? Yes, of course he could. Or however that worked, right? But again, I'm just trying to answer an unanswerable question. That the reason that he says don't go tell everybody is because he's not ready for that word to spread and what it would do to come back in such a way until after he has died, right? I don't know though. I mean, I don't know if I've ever been satisfied with that answer, but that's kind of the answer. You also have the answer that it was like, I don't like this one at all, but I've heard it enough, that this is, I'm trying how to say it, what's it called? Reverse psychology. He really did want them to go tell everybody, but he knew that they wouldn't if he told them to, so he told them not to, and so they all did it, right? I don't know, or he's showing like, there's like a more pious version of that, which is that he's just showing the power of the gospel, that it can't be contained no matter what you do. That's pious. I mean, that's fine. I don't think it's textual at all. It doesn't really help explain it. I like this answer though, and it's very Markan, and you may not like this at all. So I'm not satisfied with the first answer. I think a lot of people just take that one, they run with it. That's fine. It's okay. It's orthodox. I'm not satisfied with it because I don't think it's from the text. And so what's from the text? And this would be based upon what I said earlier about it. The Markan secret is sometimes called that, the Messianic secret and the Markan secret, even though it does show up in the other synoptics. If we take Mark and let Mark tell the story with the Markan Messianic secret at the heart of the story, there's a number of other patterns that emerge in the book of Mark. And I'm fully indebted to Dr. James Veltz for this. Concordia Seminary, I believe he's retired now. He's got a couple commentaries worth reading. But these themes that come out in the book of Mark are not themes that you would think necessarily of when you think of Bible and Jesus and Bible stories. So things like extreme conflict with demons, right? Or nigh on tyrannical total sovereign power over everything, right? Those kinds of things are what Jesus is in this gospel. And to the level where I lovingly think of Mark as the dark gospel or the gospel noir, right? And so one of the other things that comes out of this gospel noir is that Jesus is a dark hero. Like he's not, another prof, Dr. Jeffrey Gibbs once made fun of John lightly, saying, John in his Greek was a little like a children's book. It's like, see Jesus, love Jesus, love. And that's not how John is. It is how his Greek is, though. His Greek is much simpler than the rest of it. But that love Jesus, love is actually the way a lot of people think about Jesus, right? Like that's the image people have of who Jesus is that he's just this really squishy guy. Yeah. Oh, he's so gentle and nice. Look at him, he plays with sheep all the time, right? And Mark doesn't have any of that. Jesus in Mark's just, excuse my language, cover your children's ears. I mean, I don't know how else to say. He's a badass. He is completely gritty. He's old man cowboy, you know? And he don't care. He's going to do what he needs to do because he's good and we're evil. And that's where you got to flip your mentality here and be like, well, okay, so is he dark or are we dark? Now, he's light and we're dark, but that's why we see him as dark. So in that picture of dark hero Jesus in Mark's gospel, who don't care, just does what he's got to do, he then is a little weird. And this is a Markan theme too. He's a little kind of loony. But remember, he's not loony, we're loony. His sanity looks loony to us. But in that looniness, craziness, weirdness, what's he doing now-ness? Why'd he say that-ness, right? In the midst of that, he's got this, like, don't tell anybody. We're going over here now. And that's just part of his kind of, it's just the way he rolls. You know, it's part of his dark hero swag in Mark's gospel. And so where I would go with that, to some extent, is to actually apply that to us now, right? He doesn't want us to know what he's thinking. Like, that's not our place. Like, he'll tell the servant when the servant needs to know, right? Until then, hey, stay there and do your duty. Make dinner and stay standing. You don't get to sit down with me at table. What are you talking about? You're my friend. You're right. I'm also your king. So stand right there, right? So he doesn't want us to know. And he didn't want them to know. He had his own counsel, his own course. John, I guess, says this a different way. John says, he did not entrust himself to any man because he knows or knew what was in a man. And so, in that regard, and I'm really just off the cuff on this one, trying to find my own answer, because there is no, I don't think, satisfactory answer. In my regard, that is, this Messianic secret is just part of Jesus' sort of, is super God crazy and mystery, and you don't get to know, right? And that's the point. And yet, what happens in that mystery is faith is awakened. So you do see this happening in the text. It's not as though those individuals aren't like, wow, he's God. Look, hey, everybody, it's God over here, right? They all kind of do figure that out. Do they all go and proclaim, and he's going to die on the cross for us? No, they don't, because they don't get that, which is also, that's part of one of those earlier answers, though, right? They don't get what they're supposed to proclaim yet. All they know is that he's God. So that'd be my best attempt at this thing that doesn't really have an actual answer. I'm curious what that sound is. Someone on the elliptical? Oh, no. Ha! Someone's in the bathroom. Look it, camera. Aw. Actually, that might have been the stream there that did that. Anyway, so if you're just joining, studio catastrophe, nothing works, and I suck. So if you get a bunch of blurries on the camera, there it went. Hi, blurry camera. I can make it happen by waving at you. Can we do it? There. Oh, that got better color when I did that. Look at all that shifting. That's Logitech's amazing camera that comes with terrible software that doesn't let you control it at all and that you need to buy new software for. But be careful which one you buy because Catalina might just break it. So we're still trying to fix that and my mic and everything. We're trying to fix everything. We're going to fix the world. I swear. I promise. No, we're not. But I could probably make a better quality video than the one I'm making right now. So, comment from Daalism on my question to you all about Mad Monday's lectionary, all that. OT lectionary is interesting and different than what I get at church. I don't really check out the 1 and 3 year stuff, but then again, I'm not a pastor. Well, see, that's kind of my question. Who's watching me? I mean, are there any pastors that are making use of that? Because if you're not, I don't know that it's really going to help anybody. I mean, it will. If you want to get like more of what you're already getting, that's fine. That's good. But I guess my thought had been that maybe there would be pastors who'd be interested, but maybe not. Maybe I'm cool for peoples, but I'm not cool for pastors. That could be the truth. I believe it. All right. So we got a second to that. Okay, that's good to know. Excuse me. Good afternoon. Ugh. Is it beautiful? What's the weather like in the Netherlands, Matt? Let me know. Let's see. We'll bring you back. Yeah. I'm gonna keep coming through comments here. Ardith, obviously I'm not a pastor, but I especially like the 3-year, since that's what my church does. Okay, the OT is cool too, and I read the 1 year too. Okay, So all of the above, I don't know if I can keep doing all of them. And here's what's so funny about this. It isn't even, I mean, it is a little bit the video, but it isn't even the video. It's how ridiculously hard it is to get the texts for the 3-year and the 1 year onto a pages or a Word document to have it on the screen. There is no easy way to do this. It is ridiculous. Even Lutheran Service Builder, it just really makes it hard. And so it's like 45 minutes to an hour of work just to get the stupid paper to... Anyway, that's what's in the way of that in so many ways. All right. Maybe that'll come back up. Good morning, Rick Fisk. Watching from Seminario Concordia, Brazil. Fantastic. I don't know how... I'm sure my Portuguese accent is terrible, but that's fantastic. Vitor? Is it Vitor? Vitor Valada. I don't know. But I like your name, and I like your beard. And I like Concordia and Brazil. I have like history with Brazil without ever having history with Brazil. Like my life was saved by 3 Brazilian women named Maria. When I was a young man, I don't know if I didn't even tell this story. Somehow, when I was young and stupid, I ran into these 3 slightly older Brazilian women who'd come to America to study or something. And they were probably 6 years older than me, something like that. And they lived in my apartment complex, and they like adopted me as their brother. And I was, of course, an idiot in more than one way and hoped for all sorts of other stuff. But that never happened. But they like treated me really kindly. I invited them to Easter service and everything with my parents, met my parents, and they kind of like made sure that I knew, I don't know, they like checked on me. So, and they were all sisters, and they were all named Maria, but they didn't all go by Maria. Just the first sister went by Maria. No, were they all sisters? No, they weren't. It was 4 too. That was crazy life I had. Anyhow, you guys don't care about that. Here we go. What's next? Welcome to Vitor. We got comment on what we were saying earlier about the Mark and Secret. Maybe Nick Cave, bluesy goth artist, wrote an intro to Mark, his fave gospel. Not a professing Christian unless I checked, but his work is full of references to Jesus. Isn't that interesting how that happens? People are haunted by Jesus. Layman Love and Logic. What's the strongest evidence for amillennialism? You know, the Bible. Everything. What's not? What's the strongest evidence for premillennialism? I mean, really, where is it? There is no evidence. Look at this stinking, unfocused camera. Sorry if you're listening later. My goodness, is that frustrating. There's no evidence for it. You got one verse. Did you watch the Revelation video I did recently? I mean, I get it. And by the way, the camera angle, we're going to get that fixed if you're watching those. I spent like an hour, almost an hour, walking you through, out of chapter 1, the word tribulation. All right? The word tribulation shows up, is it 3 or 4 times? I forget. I think it's 4 times. 4 times. And one of them, everyone assumes is about the future, but the other 3 are not about the future, they're about the present. So you go to the one that everyone assumes is about the future, and you look at the context, and you say, well, what tells you it's the future? Nothing. We just think it is. Oh, okay, you're making it up then. Cool. So I'm going to stick with his reference to the tribulation being something that he is our brother in. He's actually present in the midst of the Great Tribulation. Now, does he say that about the millennium? No. Although he does call us kings. Right? Royalty, right? The reign is... When did Jesus... If we're waiting for Jesus to be crowned, why are we doing that, right? If the millennium is the beginning of his reign, why did his reign not begin when he ascended the throne of the cross, or at the very least when he ascended the throne of heaven and sat down at the right hand of the Father? How is that not his reign? What other reign are you waiting for? A merely earthly reign? Does the text actually say that? So I don't think amillennialism needs any proof. I mean, if you want to get into like why we call it it's a really bad word. It's a terrible word. All we are is people who believe that Jesus is reigning right now, and he's not going to stop. And the devil's never going to get out from underneath his thumb, because that's what the Bible says all over the place. The only exception to the devil getting out would be how he must be released, right, for a little while at the end of Revelation. So you can take one unclear text and undo everything else. I'm going to take everything else and read it into that one clear text and be like, oh, that's also right now. The little season of Satan where he's out of control and deceiving the nations is the same reign of God in which God is saving the nations. It's orthodox when I land on it, right? That's what's happening. That's what the rest of the Bible says. So I just don't see a need to prove that the millennium is not Jesus reigning and that it's not forever. I don't know why I would have to prove that from the rest of the Bible. It's all the rest of the Bible says. And then, so I think you need to prove, and not necessarily you, layman loving logic. I mean, it may not be you. You're just asking the question. But I think, the person who's so active in this needs to prove that premillennialism is clearly taught in the entire Bible, and not just in one story, epic, video, cosmic, apocalyptic verse near the very end. So that's my answer to that. Strongest evidence. Let's see. What else? That everything has gone on since it has from the beginning, that these are but the beginning of birth pains, that so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man, right? People will be given in marriage. I mean, nothing changes. Nothing's going to change. So you have to insert, in order to have the premillennial thing work, you either have to have, the early premillennialists believe everything was going to get better and better and better until Jesus came back and then just reigned on earth. So, they talk about the stone in Daniel that hit the foot of the statue and then became a great mountain. And that's the church, and eventually the church will take over the earth and Jesus will come back. That's like the early premillennial stuff. Okay, well, you're not watching, are you? And so then the other one is your premillennial dispensational stuff, where you've got to start inserting raptures, all of this completely made up stuff, in order to try to make this millennium thing happen. So I say again, you prove to me that there's any evidence at all for a literal millennium on earth after which Jesus loses control again from a text that's not Revelation. Go ahead, try, right? And I'm going to stick with all the other texts that talk about Jesus' reign, because there's so many that it's silly to ask me where they are. And it's like the first thing he says, man, the reign of God has come, right? There he is. Boom, I'm here, standing among you, right? So it's just silly to even try to prove that point. Yeah? Does that make sense? All right, so, I promised Matt we'd give him the weather. It is sunny and 19 degrees. Now, see, you got to understand, man, we're Americans over here. And so we don't do math the way the rest of the world does math. We do F math rather than C math. So I have no idea what that means. Are you saying it's like 10 below freezing? Because that's all my brain will do. And I'm really sad that, I know they told me in high school, you should learn Celsius because the rest of the world uses it and you will do better if you have it memorized. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm playing video games. And now I don't know. I failed now as a result, and I don't have time. I want to learn Dvorak too. I know I pronounced that wrong. Dvorak. I want to learn Dvorak typing too, but I just can't get to it. How am I going to learn Celsius? I'm assuming you're saying Celsius and that's a nice day, but I don't know. You said sunny. What's Carol say here? Our church has 2 campuses. We partake of the supper on the first and third. Is this in response to something? No. First and third Sunday of the month, and they partake on the second and fourth Sunday, considering alternative for the supper. Okay, cool. I feel like I missed something. Where are you, Carolyn? Are you back earlier? Good morning. There was a good morning. Is there more question? Where are you? I'm not seeing it. We'll just kind of leave you hanging there. But I'm curious. So by 2 campuses, do you mean? Let's scoot up here. By 2 campuses, do you mean like a dual parish, which is that it's really 2 churches that are sharing a pastor, or the color's so bad, or do you mean that the church just has 2 buildings, right? And you rotate between the 2 buildings, and if so, why is that? That actually was the way it was up here in Rockford for a bit. Kind of a weird scenario, and perhaps part of what led to their financial struggles that now we've reconciled, it would seem. But anyhow, so I'm curious about the rest of your comment here. I see. Now, so what you're thinking is you're going to go back and forth between them to get the supper. That's great. And this is the thing about this situation. And this is not to talk about your congregation, right? This is to talk about a Missouri Synod culture thing. It's not just us. Everyone else does it too. I feel like I just talked about this last time I was chatting, but maybe that was. So I just did a podcast on Thursday that won't come out for a bit, at least till next week, maybe the week after, and so maybe I talked about it there. But it's not just Missouri Synod that does this, but we definitely do this. So I'll use this non-Missouri Synod church so we can all not feel too bad about the accusation of God against our hearts. So there's a Lutheran congregation in town that used to be really big, like super big. Like, I mean, we have some today that are this big as Missouri, but I'm not sure we did back in the day when this thing was built. And the thing is, they were the second biggest Lutheran congregation in town. The other Lutheran congregation in town that they had split off from, actually, was significantly bigger. And then there were others that split off that were also quite large. But so this particular congregation now, to my understanding, has a part-time pastor who is finishing degrees or something. And also then has around 35, 45 people in church, something like that, on Sunday morning. And then in another part of the same building, if I understand this correctly, on Sunday morning, another part of the same building, there's another church that's Lutheran that's also in their same denomination and used to have a building in the area. It wasn't as large as any of the others that I just mentioned, but it was full-size church. And they eventually got to the point of having 25 or 30 people, and they could no longer meet in that building or afford it. And it's a sad thing when this happens, but they had to sell their building and look for another place to worship. And so they came to this sister congregation that had 35 to 45 people on Sunday morning in this huge, beautiful building, and they rented a room on the other side of the building. Now, just tell me, take yourself out of church for a minute, and just tell me that's not the weirdest thing you ever see. I mean, aliens were there watching, they'd be like, what on earth are these people doing? Really? Like, they say they're in fellowship with each other, but they obviously are not. What are they worshiping? So that they do not actually worship the thing that's in front of them that they say they're worshiping. Which, fascinatingly enough, so in this is a total tangent. In this same large, beautiful building I mentioned, aforementioned, we're having a wedding there today, in fact, because our facilities will not contain the number of persons desired for this wedding, and it is a beautiful sanctuary. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, and nothing wrong with renting a space for a wedding, right? So that's what they're doing. And so we're there yesterday for the rehearsal, and someone recognized me, really sweet lady, and who actually helps us out a little bit with some other stuff. She recognized me and she pulled me into a thing that they were doing. So they were putting up this, I don't even know what they call it. It was like called a seasons scroll or something. Is this big circle, okay? This big circle of paper on a scroll with a bunch of paint on it, and it was beautiful. It was really, so don't get me wrong, I'm not mocking the art right now. It was all done, I asked about it. It was done by these like hand-carved stamps made of some sort of, she said it wasn't wood, and then she would stamp these things and make these patterns, and then she had words painted all the way through the patterns, and there was Greek, and there was Hebrew, and there was Arabic, and there were comments about the pagan gods matching up with the movements of the moon, and that's like Old Testament pagan stuff right there. Right? Big circle. You know, a share pole was it was always set in the middle of a big circle. You know that? Yeah. It's a sexual symbol, actually. The circle is a sexual symbol, just like the large pinnacle of a thing, you know, like the one outside the Vatican, is a sexual symbol. So, anyhow, it's like, wow, okay, so, well, when you're putting up in your church building a large scroll that says, you know, Sam Hain shall be born again, something tells me you've kind of gone past orthodoxy. Yeah, maybe you're not worshiping Jesus now, right? Just something, you know, consider it. Yeah, but anyhow, what tells me that too, though, is when you have two groups of people who claim to be in complete fellowship with each other who will not actually join with each other, all over completely temporal reasons, when they have every reason to do so. So my question for situations like dual parishes, like you're talking about, is, look, you're going to do the Christian thing. You're going to go get the sacrament every week. That's fantastic. Why are they not doing that? Do they need the space for the 2 services? What is going on? And don't bring this up, by the way. You'll just upset people if you bring it up. They're not ready. We're not ready as a synodical culture to wrestle with this reality. We are not faithfully ready. And this is my whole thing that I'm frustrated by. We are Orthodox. Don't get me wrong. We have the confessions. We have the liturgy. On paper, it's all there, but do we believe it? Because when we try to put it into practice, we get mad about it. Huh? So it's not on you, laity, to run out there and just shove it into practice. Don't do that. We pastors got to repent a little bit of this and just start talking about it. How, if you're spending all the money to keep open 2 buildings, but you can't afford a full-time pastor, that's faithless. Yeah? It's wrong. It's wrong. You need a pastor to be a church. You do not need a building to be a church. So, something to think about, yeah? And when I talk about culture, this is what I'm getting at. Somewhere in the culture is another belief system. I'm talking Missouri Synod culture, not American culture. Somewhere within it is another belief system that puts our hope in different things, that leads us to decisions like this, decisions which cannot be questioned, actions which cannot be questioned. Someone's going to be mad about me saying that 2 groups of people who are the same church, who are too small to maintain 2 buildings, who live 10 miles away from each other, should just become one church. They, most of all, would say, no, we don't want to do that. Why? Like, you want to die? That's weird, right? So, by all means, just faithfully go get the sacrament. That's absolutely wonderful. Good job letting your theology lead you. And then, again, I'd say don't chase that one. When people ask, feel free to say, oh, well, we're the same church, right? We're all one church. I just want the sacrament every week. Yeah. Just confess the positive theology that you have and let that rattle in their brains for a few years. Vitor got welcomed again. Let's see here. Let's see. I did actually, but I guess I'm talking as opposed to the partial preterism postmillennial view that is being pushed with the reform. Yeah, I don't know enough about preterism to dig into that, but I do know, like, once you're doing that, you're really working hard to not believe things. Like, you really, because you don't want to believe the premillennial thing, right? And I get that, but it's like you fall off the other side of the horse. But I don't know enough to really speak to that one too deeply. Yeah. Baroque Me. Is that your real name? That can't. He says I'm a pastor, that can't be your real name. Pastor Me? That's kind of fun, though. I'm a pastor. I really appreciate what you do. I use your take on Jacob Israel. Good for you. Way to step out of the boat, man. Last Sunday, and the congregation got a lot out of it. They were even talking about it in a meeting. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, was that from the 3-year? Was that from the 3-year? Or the 1 year? So that's sort of the question. If I have to drop something, what am I allowed to drop? Who do I upset the least? My guess is it's going to be the 1 year, because I just don't think 1 year guys are getting newsletters that involve an Old Testament lectionary that's completely made up, because we're brothers, but you guys think I'm wrong, right? Yeah. So, all right. So let's see here. Mike Post says, love your class with the kids. I wish you could locate the camera. Yeah, we're working on it. And working on making sure everyone's comfortable with that too. I had a couple questions about, privacy rights and things like that for the kids, but hopefully we'll get that settled. And I know that there's a lot of you that are liking this, and that's why we want to keep doing it and so forth. This week, at the very least, I'm going to pull one of these cameras that I can't control the blur on over there and just set it on the table. But we're working on getting a new projector set up and a camera being kind of built into the system there, and hopefully by Christmas time, I would think. Cool. Glad you're enjoying that. I'm going to leave that up here for a second. I'm going to go ahead and be vulnerable for a moment. I don't know, man. Confirmation. What a thing. Every pastor knows it. And the only ones who would say, oh no, they're not teaching it. They got someone else teaching it for them. And the reason they're doing that is because they know it. It's a disaster, man. The catechesis of our kids is a disaster. And it's not like, there's nothing we can do. So I sit there, I mean, if you're watching, Mike, or anyone else is watching, and it's like, you think I'm doing great. Great, that's good. I'm glad you think that. I don't think the kids think I'm doing great. Some of them do. but some of them don't. And it's the same question. It's like, so what are we doing here? Somehow we have taken the need to prepare them spiritually to feast upon the body and blood of Jesus, and we've turned it into a class that they don't want to come to, but they have to. And their parents don't want to come, but they have to. And so they do it, and they suffer through it, and then it's over, and thank God I'm not in confirmation anymore. What? And you wonder why no one wants to join your church, right? You wonder why no one thinks you're right. You wonder why no one thinks your faith is the true faith. Am I wrong? I mean, tell me I'm wrong here, right? What on earth? So I'm sitting here and I've reinvented my approach to confirmation every year for at least 3 or 4 tries on this, because I'm just trying to like peel away the layer of the ogre, peel away the layers of the onion, in order to like get to the soul of this child and like poke it and wake it up from its woke stupor, right? It's video game glazed, completely destroyed by Deweyite education, no desire to learn, belief that nothing matters at all because of the nihilist reality of evolution that's put upon them, and the belief the whole planet's going to be gone in 12 years. They don't care about the 2 natures of Christ. They have no reason to care about it. They should. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying we don't want to believe in the 2 natures of Christ. I just don't know, man. So this year we're trying Augsburg Confession, right? I haven't done that before. Have you done that before? Have you tried just teaching the Augsburg Confession as your confirmation class? No? Okay, I'm gonna do it here. I'm gonna try it. We'll see how it goes, right? That's what I'm doing, because I know that the standard catechism order, not the catechism itself per se, although we often will go around that a bunch, but that order as just like now I'm going to do didactic 8th grade level philosophy on the catechism with you, and you're going to memorize some stuff. I know that track record has not been great, either for retention or for understanding by the individuals. They're so trapped in believing they have to pass a test. All they care about is getting the right answers. I mean, it's all is give us the answers, we'll memorize them. Okay, but that's not the point. Yeah. So I've been working. I mean, Echo as a book, by the way, came out of me trying to work that system. So Echo is like the way I was teaching that system, and yet the kids just looked at me like I was a fool. And I do think it's valuable still. I do think it got somewhere something. But retention, man. Oh, I don't know. The parents have a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with the parents. So anyhow, but I'm saying all this because I'm like, what, 5-6 weeks into this, and I just don't feel like the Augsburg Confession's getting it done. And I'm certainly not into the text of the Augsburg Confession enough, because so much of the text is contextualized. So if you're going to study the Augsburg Confession, you have to have a lot of other knowledge with it. There are terms that are thrown out that have connections to 3rd century arguments that took, 50 and 60 years and ended up in massive creeds. There are things that are not said. So what we confess about baptism and the supper, very little. Because you need historical context to understand why. Because we're just talking to Rome and we didn't disagree about those things at that point. And so we're trying to reconcile with Rome. That's the point of that thing. Like, look, we're with you. Look, we're ancient Christians too, right? And so we don't say much. But then, so for using it to teach theological philosophy, which I think this is part of the problem. We're teaching theological philosophy. To use it to teach that is not that helpful. So what I've been doing, rather than going through the text, is just riffing off of the articles and what we know about the articles, which is fine. And I actually believe that. You can find an hour I did at the Village Lutheran Lectures a couple years ago on how I think the Augsburg Confession as articles. Now, I think the text is important for this too, but even before that, if we're gonna ever reconcile with other churches, other theologies, other traditions of confessing the faith, the articles themselves as order: God, sin, Jesus, justification, ministry, new obedience, baptisms, or I was like church, baptism, supper. That list is the list we must reconcile around. if we cut anything out of that list, we will not be reconciled. And then I think the text that we have is orthodox, and so it's a good starting point for reconciliation. So riffing off of that as like a full confession of what a Christian needs to know is sort of where I've been going in the confirmation class. But I'm not getting good good feelies from the kiddos on this one. And this class is different. Last year's class seemed to be way more into stuff. So some of that's just, class and personalities and all that kind of thing. There's some quiet kids as well. And I as a foolish didactic, I never believe, I'm not good enough at seeing, oh yeah, the quiet kid actually always is listening. It's always like, you got to try to get them to be loud somehow too. Like that's dumb, right? That's bad teaching. Anyhow, so I'm glad you like it. What I want to know is if you could step back having listened and say, okay, so if this is my introduction to Christianity, is it good for that? And because that's kind of what it has to be. That's what confirmation has to be. And there is a problem here in that why are we introducing our kids to Christianity when they're 12? And in theory, they haven't been. They've got some baggage, good or bad. But by that point, I'm going to swing this another way. Like, it isn't... What we confess about the Lord's Supper is that one should not partake of the supper until they have been examined and absolved. So what is that examination supposed to entail? And maybe one of you pastors out there can help me. Maybe we do have like a more clear confessing description of this, like as in it's in the Book of Concord. What we mean by examination. But my understanding is that doesn't mean, can you tell me about the two natures of Christ? It means, have you examined your sins and are you repentant of them? And have you been absolved by someone who holds the office of the keys? And that until you do that, until you're able to do that, you shouldn't commune. And certainly, I am not saying that means you don't need to know what communion is, the body and blood of Jesus, and with under the bread and wine, given for us Christians to eat and drink, right? I got to memorize, man. I got to memorize. So, but like, we got to know that. But do we got to know that to the extent that we don't know the other thing? Like, which should dominate? What should be the dominant thing in confirmation? Should it be memorizing facts, Trivial Pursuit Bible style? Let's play Let's play Lutheran Trivial Pursuit. That's confirmation right now. It is. Don't get mad. It is. So is that it? Is that what we should do? Or should it be the spiritual examination of these young individuals in order to discover whether or not they are Christians? Golly, that means you don't need a class. That means it's got to be one-on-one. Oh, isn't that interesting? So then and this is where parent involvement is so huge. So you need parents to actually be teaching the absolute basics, like, oh, it's Jesus up there on the altar, and we're going to go eat him after you confess your sins because you're a sinner, right? That has to be part of the life of the house in some way. So then what do you do? But see, no one's ever going to let you stop the class. I think the class is hurting. This is kind of where I'm going. And I'm talking out loud, so please, you're in my inner thoughts. This is not a public paper given in order to prove a point, right? So just ease off if you're getting all upset. I think the class, no matter what you do, no matter how good you are as a pastor, I think my class actually gets in the way of confirming them in a real examination. And the reason for that is because their introduction to being adults in the church by that class turns their view of Christianity into Trivial Pursuit. It turns it into something they're already cogs in the machine of, which is Deweyite education, segregate the ages, move through by age, regardless of whether you know it or not. You're all going to go out and be workers in the factories. And we then turn Christianity into that. And they're tired. They're tired of school. They're tired of overworking. They're stressed about whether or not they're going to get the good grades at school. And now they got to do this other thing on top of that. They're being pulled every which direction. They really would like to go watch TV or play video games or do whatever else that's more fun. They're high on sugar all the time, and that means they're sad all the time because they're down all the time because they need more, and you got the cycle going of that. And then they have to go into this room. Well, when are you going to do it? Sunday afternoon, Saturday morning? Wherever you're going to do it, it's going to be in the way of their life. Regardless of what the parents think, it's in the way of their life. You shove them in this classroom, and the pastor gets up there and he waves his hand a bunch, and he dances around, he gets really energetic and says a bunch of big words, and you remember some of them. I think it's hurting. I really do. And I don't think I'm a bad teacher. I mean, no pastor does, but I'm trying really hard to be a good teacher. And my conviction now, after 12 years of doing this, the classroom's the problem. That's the problem. That's a dangerous thing to say. Maybe you want to hear more. Let's see what else you've been talking about. I got to shift topics for a little bit here. Oh, so it's 60. Oh, that is a beautiful day. 67 in Denmark. Man, who wants to send me to Denmark? Man, it's been chilly here in Rockford. Oh, I need a tissue now. It's been chilly here in Rockford, but it's been sunny, so I can still sit outside. So yesterday, I sat outside to smoke a afternoon cigar, and so the sun was out though, right? But it was like 40 degrees. So I put on my long johns and my jeans, and I put on t-shirt, sweatshirt, coat, and sat out there, and then this doesn't usually happen like this. I almost never eat while I'm smoking a cigar, but my wife was cooking some steaks, so she brought one out to me. So I had my steak, and I was reading an assignment for one of my daughters. We do venture training, otherwise known as homeschooling. We do venture training in the Fisk household, and she is a burgeoning author, which I think is pretty cool. And she blew me away, by the way. So she told me like 4 months ago, she wanted to write a story. And it's just after my own heart. You know I want to be a fiction writer, right? You got to know it. Okay, so she told me she wanted to write a story. I'm like, oh, really? And she goes, yeah, I even got a name. I said, well, what is it? River Runner. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So I was like, well, start writing. Yeah. And so she's been working on it. And so she handed me last week, chapter 1. And I pick it up. And okay, this kid's, what is she now? She's 12. She's 12. 7th grade. And I start reading. And it's like, there's some grammar issues here and, run-on sentence there. So there's 12-year-old stuff. But let me tell you, I was blown away by how good this thing was. Her creativity, I can't even compete. Oh my goodness, the description of the world that I was just unbelievable. I was just, so I'm like, I texted her, come outside. We got to talk about this. I'm sitting there eating the steak and trying to smoke a cigar, eat the steak, drink my coffee, and talk about this paper with my marks all over it to my daughter who's sitting there. And, but the whole point of this was, so the sun, suddenly I'm like, I'm so hot. So I take off my coat. Then I take off my sweatshirt. I take off my other sweatshirt, and all the while, every time I do that, I got a steak, I got a cup of coffee, I got a cigar. It's hard to get up out of the chair to take these things off, right? I finally take off my socks and shoes. I run inside eventually, take off my long underwear, put my jeans back on, come back out, because it was so hot in the sun. It was unbelievable. So I was out there in this 45-degree weather. It might have gotten up to 50, but still, just sitting there in short sleeves up until 4 o'clock yesterday. But all of this is, Matt, I would definitely take 67 degrees over that any day of the week. Oh, San Diego weather, do I miss it? Can we move the whole country to San Diego but get rid of California when we do it? I wish we could. All right, so have I ever listened to Kane's new album? That's got to be, I didn't mean to do that. Somebody else's question, like Kane West? That's got to be for someone else. No would be my simple answer to that. Don't even know. Kurt says, so my pastor does community service. Amen. It's a good thing. We're going to test that, by the way. We've got to that point where as a group here in Rockford, the congregation that remains is ready. We're going to do 6 weeks actually, of weekly communion, and then we're going to break for Advent, and God willing, they're like, yeah, bring it back, and in January we'll be there. We'll be there. That's, again, not everyone knows this. You may not know this, but all confessional pastors, all All Lutheran pastors that care about holding to who we are, means holding the Lord's Supper, they want weekly communion. They just don't know how to get there. And they will spend decades trying to set the stage to get there. So if you can be an advocate for it, let him know, because that's what he needs, is people who are asking for it. All right. Carolyn's back. Not a dual parish, 2 pastors. Second church is more like a church plant. Oh, okay. 150, they have around 30 or 40. Well, that's cool. They're more contemporary. That's less cool. We are traditional. Yeah. Why? Why would you plant a church that's not like how you are? You think people don't want to join you? This is weird to me. Why would you? Why? I know. I'm sorry. But you should know this by now. I got enough stuff out there. I think that revivalism, which people call contemporary worship, is a dreadful mistake and has destroyed the church and continues to do so. And anyone who attaches their wagon to it is only about 50 years before they're not Christians. So just be careful with that one. But we're all like, oh, the only way to plant a church is rock and roll. Like, all that is saying is that we don't actually believe we have anything worth planting. And even if it works, you're not planting a Lutheran church. Sorry, that ain't going to happen. You go ahead, just disagree with me on that one. It's cool. We can disagree. It's all right. I'll look for a reminder to like his vid. Thank you very much, Vernie. I like your picture, man. You look like kind of scary, but kind of cool at the same time. It makes me think of a music artist first. That's like an album cover right there. And then it makes me think a little bit of Half-Life 2, if that makes you feel good. And if it doesn't, it's an old video game that they should have made a sequel to, and they didn't for some reason. Spinning pinwheel. Oh my goodness, Brian Yanabi, good morning. How are you? Really big. Oh my goodness. All right, so Brian says, great podcast with Professor Kuntz. Tell me about it. Man, Kuntz is great. His point that the LCMS ethnic insularity is not unique was spot on. It is a hurdle when reaching out, not making excuses, just faulting LCMS. Yeah, right. So it's not just about us and just being German. There's a book called Bowling Alone that I've never read, but it's out there. It's a sociology book about the decline of social interaction in American culture, and I wonder if it has something to do with what I've been talking about. Like, if the idea is that we're so segregated emotionally as a culture everywhere, so individualized, so atomized, so non-common unionized, communityized, that there's just no way for us to actually welcome people anywhere without some sort of formal set of rules that we all know. And then that's it. There are no formal rules that we all know in the LCMS that people outside the LCMS know. We know it in the LCMS, right? Once you're in, you kind of figure it out. Maybe. Or you leave because you think we're not friendly. Right? Well, so if our rules aren't friendly, that's interesting. So the pastor gets up and he preaches, oh, we got to be more friendly. Be more friendly. Love people. Be more friendly. Well, that'll do it. I've told this before, but it's worth it. So my first call, mission plant in New Jersey, just a disaster, on so many levels that I will not go into. There were some very angry people there. Like, before I got there, they were angry. And after I got there, they were still angry. And I just became the one they were angry at. Yeah, which I do that pretty well, by the way. I'm really good at that. So I'm laughing because it's so true that it's even true on the internet. And I don't really like it. I don't like that I'm good at being the one that people get angry at, but it's my spiritual gift. So there were some really angry people there, and it was like 20, right? So the church had maybe 25 people in this building. It's not surviving. It had been a mission plant 20 years ago. It's falling apart. I'm supposed to fix it, sort of, and it's being funded from the outside also. So of these 20 people, the only real thing they have going on is the only real thing that a lot of churches that are about to collapse have going on, which is the ladies' sewing group. And this is the way that somehow we're going to rebuild the church, is by getting people to join the ladies' sewing group. And I'm not against the sewing group, right? But it's not the church. That's just you hanging out, which is cool. But okay, so they really wanted people to join the sewing group, and so my wife, who likes to sew, joins the sewing group. And they had and this has happened more than once, so I may be mixing my story together because this kind of thing has happened more than once, this part of it. Because they had a project they were doing that was to go out somewhere. And she comes in and they literally said, yeah, this is the project we're doing to save the world and help the children, but we're not going to let you be part of that. So here's some other stuff over there, and you can do this thing that's not for you and not for us, but you can do that and be happy about it. And she was like, I'm not going back. Right? And she didn't. Because she wasn't, like, welcome at all. And the same lady who ran this thing, sometime, this is pretty early, though. This may have been before Meredith visited the sewing group. But it was within like 2 or 3 weeks of me getting there. And I'm just walking around, just being happy me, trying to be friendly, trying to figure out what's going on. And she stops me, like, in the hallway. And there must have been other people in the building, but I don't think it was Sunday morning. She stops me in the hallway, and she kind of got really, close. Like, like not, like in my face, but not. She was shorter than me. Excuse me. She kind of got in my face, and she said, Pastor Fisk, don't let anyone ever tell you that we are not a friendly congregation. We are, and she literally shook her finger at me. We are a friendly congregation. And she walked away. And I was stuck there in that moment, just sort of like a dog looking at his own, pee. Like, well, the first time a puppy pees, right? He's like, what is this? Oh my goodness. So I had no way of like categorizing what she just said to me. Because it was like, cosmic shifting paradox. Like, but what you just did was the most unfriendly thing you could ever do. If you have to put everybody welcome on your sign, it means you're not welcoming. Think about it that way, right? If you have to tell somebody, I'm friendly, then you're not, right? If you have to worry about welcoming people, you're not welcoming. If you need a welcoming committee, you're not welcoming, right? Why are you not welcoming people? Why would that not be natural? Why do you need a committee for that? Why do you need a sign for that? I always want to put on the sign, by the way, go away. Just like the church sign that you always change it, just go away. Don't visit. You're not allowed. What's here is too cool for you. Actually, that one would be taken as wrong, but like that's the idea, right? Just be like, whatever. Dark Jesus mode. We need more dark Jesus in our lives. All right, so what else we got? Okay, cool. You know what? I wasn't going to look at this one, but this is kind of exactly what happened here, right? They couldn't keep it going. Reopen under. Yeah. We kind of did that here. Although they didn't close, but they just changed the name over and became like this extended congregation. But all that it did was take the time of the pastor away from Sunday morning and being able to focus on the flock as a whole. And I think, that wasn't the only thing, but it wasn't a great strategic move. But that's the first article argument. So I'm not orthodox on my statement there, but it is what I think. All right, so artists talking about confirmation again here. The class with the kids is fabulous. When I was their age, I had an atheist dad trying to catechize me in his beliefs, lack thereof, and a mom who was agnostic at best. So they're beyond blessed. Well, amen to that. They're getting both ends of the fire hose, right? Is it doing any good? Is the question. Is it what they need? Is what they need more knowledge? Is that the problem with our worldview? Is that why our worldview is flailing like it's a dying man and so afraid and grasping at contemporary worship and the hopes of salvation? Is it because we need more knowledge? I don't think so anymore. I'm not against knowledge. I'm not against doctrine. Don't hear me saying that. I'm not abandoning none of that. I just think there's something else in the water. Love the taking confirmation class. Same thing with youth group. I was told just to stick with small catechism and scripture, but they don't need more info. They need to learn how to be Christians. Yeah. So one of the things I'm wondering, right? And I've tried this before, and it kind of worked once, but it wasn't. And then I shifted, and it didn't work at all. But I'm wondering why we don't just read the Bible in confirmation. Like, why not just read it? That's all we do, read the Bible. It's because we have to prepare them to pass the test. That's why. Well, what test? Right? Well, the small catechism test. Okay. Why are they not prepared to pass that by the time they get to be 12? That'd be the first question I have, right? Why would they not know those things yet? They're pretty basic. And then Is that what is required in order to commune if you're already a Christian and know those things? Because you know those things, so then what happens next is examination and absolution. And now we're not doing that at all. And then it's like, well, how do we make Christians? If they're not Christian, or they're only Christian weekly, faintly glimmering wick, how do we make Christians? It's not by studying dogmatics textbooks. Sorry, it's not. It's not how we make Christians. You can strengthen a Christian that way. We don't make a Christian. So it's the Word of God that does this. Well, what's the Word of God? What's the Bible? It's the Bible. And if we're not studying the Bible, then we're not having the Word of God in our midst. And I mean, I've hit on this before with the preaching too, and I know it sounds pretty egotistic, I think, but I mean, we have a habit in the Missouri Synod of having guys spend a lot of time writing sermons and then getting up and then reading them. They look up sometimes when they're reading them, so we call it preaching instead of reading, but it's a dramatic reading. And in the dramatic reading, there is some reference to the text in some way, but mostly it's not about the text at all. Mostly it's about other stuff that's important and not untrue, but important, but not the text proper. And then we get down and we say, "Oh, I preached the Word of God today," and it's like, I mean, for me, when I had this moment, this aha moment for myself, I was like, "Did I?" And I had to say, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I preached the word of Jonathan today about the Word of God. Maybe I should preach the Word of God." I don't know if it's working better in the sense of like it's all going to magically be good. I don't think that's the way Word of God works. But I'll tell you, it's a different beast. It's a different beast when you start just preaching the text. And so it's the same question with confirmation. I mean, Luther's words are beautiful. His description of the catechism is beautiful. His Q&A is they're gorgeous. It's poetry. It's song. It should be a song. We should have 6 songs that are the text of Luther's questions and answers that are all 6 tunes, right? I mean, Magnus did this with his Sing the Faith thing, which is cool, but there's a million tunes for the 10 Commandments. 6 songs that cover the whole thing, and we just sing them all the time from the time their baby's on, and then the catechism would be known. Whether they'd understand is a different thing, but blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Luther's words are beautiful. They are a confession of the Word of God, but they are not the inspired and inerrant Word of God. So why is confirmation class not the place where you finally start doing Bible study? Sacred meditation upon the Scriptures. And that's what I'm wondering about. So I'm hoping to finish Augsburg Confession by Christmas or shortly thereafter, and we're going to do that the rest of the year. We're just going to go into Matthew, I think. I tried Romans a bit last year, and the thing was, Romans is tougher than I thought when you're dealing with a 7th grade mind. I don't know how else to say it. It's more philosophical than they are. Matthew I did with a group of 7th and 8th graders when I was in North Dakota, and that went pretty well. But here's the other thing. We weren't in a classroom. Because of the way that the congregation was set up, I was going to have these 4 kids sit in this giant classroom, in the basement on Wednesday afternoons. Jeez. So I had them come over to my house, and we all sat on the couch, a big couch. And there were some like gamer chairs and stuff. And we just started reading through Matthew. And I got to tell you, that is or was the best confirmation teaching experience I've ever had, in terms of me feeling like they were a part of it. So how do I do that here? What I got to do is I got to get out of that classroom. No one's going to want to do that. What I love around the evening, we got the prayer set up around the evening. That's great. That's been fantastic. I don't know. Thinking out loud. Let's move on. Let's do something else. Let's see. Okay, cool, Ardith. I'm glad you saw the story perspective of the Augsburg Confession. That's very, very important. It's great if you can start to remember that now, right? If you can start to remember how Articles 1 through at least 9, but really 12, and then even beyond if you want. If you can remember how they are an outline of the ultimate story, then that outline can become a tool for confessing your faith or talking about your faith to somebody else. You hang back on those article bullet points, God, sin, Jesus, and what we confess about those things, right? God created the world, sin, we broke it, Jesus saved it. You can go through that whole list and give someone everything we believe in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And it's fantastic. The creed will do this too, but it's a little more focused on Jesus and his life and death, right? And that's cool. So I'm not saying don't do that, but if you can, I believe that the Augsburg Confession is a platform not only for ecumenical dialogue, big words, but also for confessing the faith. And that if we're Lutherans and want to make Lutherans, maybe we should use the Lutheran Confession when we're doing our mission work. Go figure. Just a thought. Throwing it out there. It's hard to reach. Yeah, Brian mentioned it's hard to reach 17. Yeah. They're done, man. They're done. They're gone. It's over. Look. I shouldn't have to say this, but it really is just, we just don't know. It's amazing to me. Every culture in the world knows this except us. A boy becomes a man when he's 12. Once a boy becomes a man, you're not teaching him unless he wants you to. And it's going to be that way for a while. Actually, it'll always be that way. Around 23, he'll start to figure out that he's not so good at picking teachers, and he needs to just be a little more open to better teachers. Hopefully he'll figure that out. A lot of guys do at 23, 24. Some never figure it out. But the thing is, it's after 12. You're not teaching him unless he wants you to. He'll jump through the hoop. If you make him, if you castrate him, he'll do it. That's what we've done, right? But they're done. They're formed. They're formed at 12. It's over. If you want to form little boys, you know who I want to have a confirmation class like 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds. There we could just go through the catechism and say it over and over again, tell the stories, and they'd be just like, oh, the story, it's our life, we're the people of God, right? They would be so excited about it. I don't know how to change that. We're so convinced that's the time to do it. If you have not read Already Gone by Ken Ham, I can't recommend everything Ken Ham writes, and he even goes into his creation is the answer to everything, which is not true. Jesus is his shtick in that book, but you really should. The study of the failure of Sunday school as a theory that book presents, statistically speaking, and you can't, you can argue with the statistics if you want, but you really can't. If you haven't read that, you should. They're done by 12. And it goes for girls too, but girls follow the boys. And the boys at 12, they're men, and they are not going to listen unless they want to, and they don't want to. There's a few that do. But if this is the first introduction to being catechized they're getting, they're not paying attention. They don't care. They'll jump through the hoop and just deal with it. All right. Let's go on. I gotta get away from confirmation. Sorry, you guys are killing me. I'm tired. This makes me depressed. Oh, let's see here. I'm scrolling way down the conversation. You guys are still talking about it there. Okay, we got a teen. What do you say, teen? The teen who is the dinosaur planet. That's awesome. I'm a teen, and I feel very different from other teens because I love learning more about theology and Christianity. Well, God bless you. It's a spiritual gift. And I don't mean that in the goofy sense. The Spirit is giving you that. Yay. No, man has not revealed this to you. So, and it's interesting when you say, I feel very different. There's a word in the Bible that describes Christians, and it means very different. Yeah, it's the word holy. Holy means very different. So feeling very different than the rest of the world is what we're supposed to be. And the thing that's really kind of nasty about Christianity is that feeling different is the cross. It's not like a happy feeling different. It's an ouch feeling different. And we get that forever. You get more of that when you get sanctified, not less. You get more of that. You get mortified by it. It kills you. But it's a good thing too. And it also frees you. Gives you a joy that's completely different, a joy that is joined with the suffering, as opposed to one that's always trying to escape the suffering. It's life, right? It's new life. It's the life of faith. So don't feel bad about feeling different. That's okay. That's kind of normal. Count your blessings. Study what you can study. Be glad that you have a mind that wants knowledge. Because again, that's some of the fight, is we don't want knowledge. at all at in America. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we do, but we don't. Our kids don't. That's why they hate school. Uh-oh. Did we freeze? Okay, we're back. Whew. That's why they hate school. But is it because they don't like knowledge, or is it because the way we've decided that we're supposed to teach the knowledge makes the knowledge completely meaningless to them? Not useless. It's not pragmatics. It's meaningmatics. It's epistemology. Ooh, big word. What a thing is. All right. Get the kids to debate. Kids of wow. And then when they have questions, you teach them the gaps in their knowledge. That's an interesting thought, Bernie. I like it, and yet I don't at the same time. How would you set that up? And I don't want to throw them to wolves either. That's a really cool thought, though. Let's see. A girl I know goes to a Baptist school, and that's why what she does every day. I missed something from Dinosaur Planet then. What does she do every day? Read something? Where are you, dinosaur? Roar, yes. Hello. What does she do? 36 degrees in Michigan. Yep, sounds about right. I need a cigar room for the winter. I really fell into cigars hard this year. I like them. Let's see here. And so how'd that come out of that? Because you mentioned 36 degrees. It's like too cold outside to go outside and sit there. I love sitting outside with a cigar. All right. Dinosaur Planet, I don't know what your comment about the girl who's a Baptist was about, so I can't really respond to it. The class can be valuable, says Fitch. Of course it can. I'm glad I had one that said I was the kid that got 100% on the catechism test, but I stopped going to church as soon as I left for college. Well, see, that's my point. So don't tell me it's valuable, or that it's valuable in the way I'm doubting its value, right? Here you are listening, learning. Some of the information you learned in that class is still here. That's valuable. But the value I'm looking for is the one that means you don't stop going to church when you go to college. That's what I'm asking. It wasn't valuable for that. You were the kid that got 110%. You were the kid that knew everything, and you stopped going to church. So it's not working. And I don't think it's the theology. I don't think it's God. I don't think it's his word. It's something we're doing. Ninja Cell. Fisk of the White Horse Inn was what helped me learn more. Well, that's cool. That's good company. More conversation. Church planning. Matt Glover says, when are you going to plant a Lutheran church here? I don't know where that is. There is none. That's sad. Where you at? I am probably not a good church planner. Just FYI. Not that you care. I mean, you do care, but not. First off, I'm in Rockford, and we got a lot ahead of us. And until they kick me out, I'm pretty stuck here. Second off, though, I want to be part of planting lots and lots of churches in the world. I want to send missionaries all over the place somehow, some way. But I am not the guy to be on the ground, and the reason is a strictly first article reason. As I said, I'm an introvert. A really, really heavy, strong one. I'm sitting here talking to you. You're like, how is he an introvert? It's because I'm alone in a room. I'm in my closet. That's how I'm an introvert. Right? I'm safe. Because of that, it's not that I haven't learned to manage it in general, but what you need out of a church planter is somebody who can't help but talk to people. He just does it. Yeah. In someone who's in the middle of the spectrum, that's fine too, but they gotta be really, really just hungry for people, and I'm not. So, what I am, as you know, is a communicator. So that's where I can help. But I want to know where you are. Oh, but see, I can't really. That's not going to show up on my screen unless I go look for it. I want to know where you are. I'm just curious where there's no church. There's a lot of places where there's no Lutheran churches, and that's really sad. Oh, yeah, I don't know what the rest of this was here, Carolyn, but yeah. No. Go get the sacrament. Keep your head down when it comes to the annoying liturgy. And there may come a point where the revivalism is so in the way of the sacrament that you're like, I'll just take it twice a week when it's real. And still, not this, yeah, it's not wrong. It's real if they're using the words, but when I'm not being torn away from it by the alternate sacrament, which is the power of the music. And this is so important. I feel like I've said this before, and so I'm kind of tired of it. I don't want to make you tired of it. The reason I said what I said earlier about revivalism, the reason it can't happen in Lutheran churches, it destroys Lutheran churches, is because the center premise of revivalism, the center premise of we need contemporary worship, is that the music is the means of grace. The music is the means by which God reaches, converts, and sustains the sinner. That means it's not the Lord's Supper that does these things. Oh, it's that too. Yeah. No. Not instituted by God, this music thing. Not for this purpose. And so you can't have it happening. You can't have a congregation founded on worshiping the music that also really worships the Lord's Supper over the long term. The music will win. Because the idols always do. When you put up a Asherah pole, and when you worship at the high places, eventually the worship of Yahweh goes away. It's just how it is. And to not say, oh, we can do it different. Oh, okay, man. You're fighting the whole history of the world on that one. So that's my thing. So if you go and you are noticing that, right, and it's in the way for you, yeah, then you're better off just having it twice a week where we're not being plagued by it. But if it's, I'm sure they're trying hard. Don't get me wrong. All Lutheran pastors who do this are trying really hard. They have good motives. We're going to do it. We can do it. We'll do it different. We'll make it work. The One Ring. Just give it to me. I'll take it to Gondor. We'll be fine. Yeah, that's what's going on. Being more friendly is the EOCA downfall. They're not actually friendly. I disagree. I grew up in that church, left before a majority of things that contradicts the Bible. Facepalm. My parents are still in it only for the friends. Now, maybe they have more friends. They have the same cultural weird issue. They're just Swedish about it instead of German about it. Sorry about the blurry camera. So I disagree. I don't think, walking into an ELCA church, I've done it before. I actually went to one for a while without realizing what I was doing. It's way back. They're not more friendly. It's the same thing. They kind of say hi, whatever. But joining the culture, not really there. My wife even worked for that church. That was crazy. I taught high school for 1 year. It wasn't even 1 year. It was 6 months. I taught for a year. But she was with me for 6 months right after we were married, before we went to seminary. And we were too stupid to know what an ELCA church was. So we were going to one. How I got into seminary is an interesting thing, isn't it? Yeah. We were going to one, communing there, and they had a part-time position for a youth director. It was 5 hours a week or whatever. So my wife wasn't doing anything, so we made a little money that way. So we were even working for the church, and I don't think I knew anybody. I knew the pastor. I knew his wife, who was a Methodist pastor at another church down the street. What? What? Yeah, and but same culture, same thing. There was no hey, we're actually a tribe here that is different, and you're joining now, right? So there's your sword, and you better get working out, man, because war's coming. There's none of that. It's just oh, we're a club. We're a bunch of like-minded people hanging out, worshiping Jesus. Oh, okay, good. Go back to your life, have fun, give us money. What? I don't know. I'm off the deep end today, but whatever. We did that one. Like your hamster, by the way. I hate hamsters, but I like pictures of hamsters. Why do I hate hamsters? Why would I do this? How many stories about my wife do you want one day? When we were married in said area where we began going to this other church, like fools, my wife had a pet. A hamster named Pebble. And Pebble was cute, like most hamsters are, but Pebble was also a shrew, like most hamsters are. And I don't mean she was actually a shrew, I just mean that she was a shrew. And Pebble bit me. More than once, not a lot, but the first or second time I picked her up. And I hate hamsters now. That's it. And it happened more than once though, because I remember this too. And this is funny, but don't tell PETA. PETA, I'm sorry. I'm telling the story because it's funny, but it was wrong of me, okay? So, it was instinct. It was survival. It's evolution. I can't do anything about it. So I had Pebble in my classroom. I was teaching high school. And she's in my classroom on my desk, and I said, "Oh, it'd be cool. Teachers have pets. It's really cute. Run around the ball during class." Nah, it never really worked out very well. But so I tried to pick her up. I don't know why. I gave up eventually. But I tried to pick her up, the pet her or something off the desk, and she bit me. I didn't think this through. This was not a plan. It was not foreplanned. It was just what happened in the pain, was that my hands went like this. And this hamster flew up until she hit the ceiling, bounced down, hit a desk, slid off the desk, hit the floor, and was running. It was like it didn't bother her. She goes. I don't think I'll forget that till the day I die. Oh, hamsters. I don't like hamsters. Can you blame me? I don't like spiders either. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? It is lonely going to a new church. Amen, Sarah. You need to go for Christ because a new person is an outsider for years in most congregations. Yes, but this is what I'm asking. So the ancient church had a path by which you entered it. And they have these really big words that we maybe shouldn't use, but I like them, so I keep trying to use them. They had this path. They had the path of inquiry. And in the path of inquiry, you were visiting the church but not worship. At least not initially. Or what you came into was only the worship which included teaching, but you were never in the mystery of the supper. You didn't see it. It didn't happen. And so you were initiated by a system of questions rather than a system of worship, or a system of learning, a system of Bible studies, sacred meditation upon the scriptures. Were there prayers around that? No doubt. Was there singing? Maybe, but certainly not the way we do it. So that was inquiry. And then once you had, in inquiry, come to the point where you wanted the Lord's Supper, you knew something else was going on. You knew there was this other thing. You wanted baptism. You knew about that. Maybe that's even more important. You wanted baptism. Once that happened, you enter into catechesis. So now we have this sort of catechism from catechesis. So now, okay, you want in? Here's what you need to know. And if you don't know it, you're not in. And you don't want in. You don't want in. You don't know it. Right? You don't want to know it. That's catechesis. And then, following catechesis was baptism, followed by mystagogy. And mystagogy is the initiation into the mysteries. The words about the mysteries. And I don't know as much about mystagogy. I'm actually curious about it. But my understanding of this would be that this is, now you're entering the life of the church. So here's how we roll. Here's what we do. But this isn't really just about like, oh, we have a voters assembly. Although that is the actual thing we worship in some ways. I mean, that's it. That's who we are. We're a voters assembly. This was about the mystery of the supper. The mystery of us being a singular body in Jesus. And being pulled into that. This process took 3 years, by the way. 3 years. And so catechism being 2 years is sort of like that, but it's not. They're already in. They're our own. Mystagogy. It's what we're missing somehow. Mystagogy. When I go to St. John's in Burr Oak 25 years ago, this is the pastor from earlier, Burr Oak. We had communion once a month. It took about 8 years to get to first and third Sunday. Yeah. Still working on every Sunday. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Oh, but we're Lutheran. We swear. Really? I mean, you are. I'm not condemning you, Broke. It's the fact that that's even like a thing. It's very interesting. I mean, it's not. There aren't a lot of things we have to offer to the world as Lutherans. There really aren't. We don't have much to give. Nope. We got justification, and we have the sacraments are justification. The absolution is justification. That's what we got. That's what we got. No one else has. That's it. Right? Election, technically. Same thing, really. Everything else is like out of that. Or they all have that too, right? Everyone's got the 10 Commandments. They may not understand it as well as we do because justification informs how you understand it. But they have it. And they got the sacrament too. They just don't have it as justification. So, if all we really have is justification in water, bread, and wine, That's our thing. Then why don't we do it all the time? Especially when our stuff says do it all the time. The Bible says do it all the time. Why is it the one thing we don't want to do? What did we replace it with? I'm still looking for an answer to this. I don't have an answer. Is it the voters' assembly? No, we don't want to go to that either. But I'm going to say this again. This will come out with the Preuss conversation I had recently that's not released yet. But you know how I know there's a problem? You have a bunch of people that are LCMS Lutherans. They go to church every week and they can't wait to leave. They don't want to be there. They have to be there. They kind of say, I know I should be there. They don't want to be there. Because they leave as soon as they can. If it's too long, they get upset about it. That means something's wrong. You wouldn't say that about a football game. You wouldn't say that about a movie. A bad movie. I've sat through bad movies. You wouldn't say that about anything. Oh, we went out to dinner. It was over it took too long. I mean, you're right. You never get your food. That's fair. But like, no, you go to a good dinner. Everything's on time. The wine is just right? And like, it's over and you're not like, oh man. Oh, that was 10 minutes longer than it should have been. Oh, can't wait to get out of here. You want to stay. Why does no one want to stay? Why don't I want to stay? I'm the pastor. Shouldn't I want to stay? What's wrong? Something's wrong. If we find this, it's going to blow up, though. It really will. I'm going to get crucified publicly over this at some point. Because we're not going to repent of this easily, whatever it is. Is confirmation at a younger age a viable solution? I think so. I would love to have it be at a younger age. What age? So here's the thing about age. The Bible doesn't ever mention age with regard to faith. The idea that everyone would be ready to receive the Lord's Supper at the same age is exclusively a 20th century Deweyite, secularized American education point of view. And I can point you to secular education theorists who tell us this. In fact, hold on. I'm going to Google it. Hold on. Let's see. What is this? It was Education TED Talk. Half a second here. Be patient with me. Sir something. Sir, what's his name? Sir, there it is. Sir Ken Robinson. Education Paradigms TED Talk. It's really well done. It's got little cute people, drawings and stuff. Look at that thing and then just ask yourself, here, I'll put a link up, although it's going to be way too long. Hold on, where is this? I'm not good at this yet. There should be a way to create an overlay. Text, paste, add. Oh, it's really tiny. All right. That's not going to help at all. That's so useless. Never mind. Google it. Sir Ken Robinson. Changing Education. Where'd the title go? Changing Education Paradigms. There it is. Watch that thing. And just think about confirmation in Sunday school. It's like, whoa. We got sold a bill of goods. And they don't think it's working for public education. Why are we committed to it as if it's God? At what age? So younger doesn't matter. Older doesn't matter. I mean, before 12, which I'm saying this is a first article awareness thing. It's not right at their 12th birthday. It's sometime between 12 and 14. Boys stop being boys and become men. And maybe it happens at 11. But when it comes to confirmation, then you have the same reality. So when is the kid ready to commune? When they want to. Does that mean they're ready? No, but it's when they start asking questions. Hey, what's that? Can I have some? Now's the time. Right now. You're going to form them for the rest of their lives. But they're only 18 months old. You're right. You know when you get formed for the rest of your life? When you're under 3. It's like the best formation time ever. Am I saying commune 18-month-olds? No. I'm saying start the process of talking to them about the faith and preparing them. Oh, you want this? Well, here's what you need to know. Let's work on memorizing the catechism. Here's a song. Da, 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 sing the song, right? By the time they're 5, my guess is you do that. By the time they're 5, they know more than most of the adults who already are communing. I ain't kidding. We should be ashamed of ourselves. We really should. Paedo communion, though, I am not for it, so please don't read that between the lines there. I think that would be incredibly schismatic, honestly, to do such a thing. Paedo communion means communion babies, right? Who can't speak. Let's see. Good morning, Pastor Fisk. What time is it, by the way? 8:30. Wait, so now everything's going to do that? Oh, my goodness. Heaven preserve us from my computer's ability to do really random things. Okay, let's go there and see if this works. We'll just add that text. Oh, but I made it black. Oh, golly. Where did you go? Come back here. You can't see any of it. It's probably good because I look like a fool. White. We want white text. There. And then we're going to add it. It's really tiny for some reason. I'm going to kill it. And now we're going to try again. Yes. Bueno. Derek and Melanie. Good morning, Pastor Fisk. Good morning. Interested in your thoughts comparing the SMP program versus full-time seminary. Oh, really? Are you really? Be careful what you ask for. My pastor is encouraging SMP for me. I am 43 with the family, weighing the option. Do it! That's my answer. Do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. SMP, Sex, Money, Power. That's what it was in California in the 90s. There were hats and T-shirts. Sex, Money, Power. It's a big kind of underground, punk rock, hard rock, alt rock thing. So when our Synod decided to start a new pastoral formation program called Sex, Money, Power, I thought, wow, that's weird. It's not really called Sex, Money, Power. It's called the Special Pastor Formation, I think, something like that. And the idea is that there should be a way to make a pastor for situations in which the man could not become a pastor by going to seminary without leaving behind things that he shouldn't leave behind. Imagine the man's 75 years old and a member of a congregation with 10 people on the prairies of Nebraska. All he wants to do is visit the dying 7 shut-ins and have communion on Sundays. And they're 70 miles from anything else. That guy shouldn't have to go to seminary. No brainer. No brainer. What does he need to know? Large catechism. That's what he needs to know. It was good enough for the Missouri Synod in the start of the Missouri Synod. It should be good enough for us now. It was good enough for Leia, and we just borrowed from the success he had with it. So I fully am in concurrent agreement with that. That was how SMP got started. That was how it got formed and passed. And then very quickly it became much more than that. Now you have congregations of thousands of people getting their 6th pastor from SMP. And he's a 28-year-old and just doesn't want to go to seminary, in part because he's going to leave his nice cushy job behind, and in part because the congregation and the leadership of the congregation wants a new pastor and they want to be in charge of the formation themselves, so you don't have some weirdo coming in with all these Lutheran ideas changing their big worship system, right? And so, that may not be all of it. I'm actually not going to... Actually, if you're mad at what I just said, I agree with you. I think that's a wise decision. I think it's wise to not upset the apple cart by pulling in a time bomb that is an unknown quantity that's required to just fall among you because a political council that's only there due to their election, which means they're only there by their ability to placate everybody else and not actually say things or make hard decisions. Sorry, DPs. I don't mean all of you, but it's how elections work for all. It's how elections work. It's not about you, DP. It's about how elections work. So that group is going to get together and they're going to go ahead and decide who's going to be your next pastor? What? I mean, I guess we do the same thing when we vote as congregations. We're just as bad, really. We don't think about any of the stuff that matters. But. So I agree with you, large revivalist-leaning congregations, with your understanding of the problem. So as a result, the SMP program quickly became one which had been, it will only be used in extreme situations, to we use it whenever we want to approve it, and that's up to whatever DP decides if this one's okay. And that was all sorts of things, especially if you're leaning toward liking a certain kind of congregation and not another, and you can have more pastors in your district that are like that one, informed by that one, well then why would you not? And the part about not being able to take calls and move around the synod, but you'd always be stuck in that one specific ministry. It wasn't special. Yeah, it was specific ministry pastor. That's what it was. SMD. That part about not being able to leave there and being there for life, well, that got changed too. So now they can move around. The only thing that is different is they are unable, if I understand it correctly, to be voting members of synod, something like that, which is a weird intra-constitutional function thing. And they're probably going to get paid less, which that actually does make sense. Because if you have a teacher with a master's degree and you have a teacher with a 1-year degree, But when it comes to the question then now, what do we do with this thing now? I actually think it's a gift from God. I do. It's a gift from God. Because right now, we need the ability to form pastors. And we need them to not be tied to salaries to pay off debts they take in order to go to seminary. It's that simple. It has nothing to do with whether or not seminary education is valuable. Nothing to do with that at all. It has everything to do with the financial situation we find ourselves in as 21st century Americans and our ability to maintain our families going forward while also not giving up on the belief that the pastoral office is so valuable to the church that we need more of them. To the point where I would say this: I'm crazy. Don't forget that. Mad Christian Podcast. Don't forget that. I'm crazy. I think every congregation should have like 5 pastors. 7. It's nuts, right? Could never afford it. Well, you're right. Not with a model of salaried, full-time career pastors with health benefits. No, couldn't do it. SMP? You're a layman, you got a good job, you want to be able to help pastor with the shut-in calls, you want to be able to go do a little Bible study mission work at the local college, take over the youth group, and really be, but be authorized. You want to be able to help the pastor manage some of the business, so you have a group kind of holding everything up. Maybe you want the ability, try this one on for size crazies. Maybe you want to take the small group program that's already in existence and already been set up, the conventicles that probably should never have been set up. Maybe you want to take it and make it right, and so you want to have the leader of every one of those small groups that meets every Wednesday night in somebody's house. You want to have a pastor there. I don't know what your pastor's saying, Derek. Why? What he's got you doing? I want as many SMP pastors as I can get. And if you want to do it, move here. Unless my DP gets mad at me for doing it. But if you want to do it, move here, man. You need a job. Because I'm not going to pay you. At least not right away. But I want pastors that I can send down to the city as mission planters. I want pastors that I can trust to handle technical and or administrative tasks that are mine, but then need to go further and I can't get them there. I want pastors to visit the shut-ins more than once a month. But imagine if you had 5 guys, they all went once a month. That'd be cool. That's all they do, right? One afternoon a week after your work. I mean, it'd be good for the church. So do it. Do it. I'm crazy. Don't take me too seriously. For that one, I'm actually really serious. But I don't see the theological argument against it. What's the reason? What is the theological argument for seminary? I know we have all sorts of sociological arguments for seminary. I know we have all sorts of educational arguments for seminary. They're good. I agree. What's your financial argument for seminary right now? What's your financial argument for how it is a wise thing to put a man who's going to make $35,000 a year and have a family of 7 into debt in upwards of $60,000 to $70,000? And actually, as a result of that, be put into a situation which in all likelihood he's now incompetent to get another job, except like at Walmart or something, right? He really won't be able to do anything else. Unless he's a second career guy, he's useless to society. Nah, you could teach Bible study. Okay, thank you, right? What's the argument for why that's a good idea? Student loans, 6% a year. What is it? 5% a year, forever, never goes away. $70,000. I'm making 35, 40 a year. No health care. Oh, my wife's pregnant again. We're on state plan. That's good enough. That doesn't seem wise to me. That seems to be tempting God to me. Call me nuts. I lived it. Diaconate? Yes, sure, but no. I mean, well, yes, if you mean an ordained diaconate, which is what the original one was. So, yeah, distinguishing between the roles that pastors play and the office that they hold. They all hold the same office. That's before God, but the role they play in the congregation, that would be before men. And that's where that diaconate kind of idea comes from. So, you got an administrative pastor who's trained, and his main training is not to be an administrator, but to be a theologian, a bishop of old. And you got a bunch of guys who are also trained. And they recognize that this other guy, he's the bishop. He's the one who has the theological call at that moment. But they're not, it's not like they can't correct him, right? It's not like that. But there's like an awareness. And honestly, I mean, look, I'm going to go real crazy here, right? I'm sure. You know, I mean, don't turn this one into a video. I don't want this going viral. Uh-oh, Messianic secret. Here's the thing. And I got two guys here, and maybe they don't know this yet. I got two guys here that are contemplating SMP. They're just undergrads right now. They're contemplating. Look, if you were in my church right now, and you get ordained and you're going to help, this is awesome, right? Yay. Now we're going to stipend you a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to live on. You need real work. And, okay, fine. But here's what's not going to happen. You're not going to preach much. Not on Sunday morning. Why? Because that's what I'm doing. that's my job, right? And at the moment, whoever you are, young man, right? I'm assuming you're a young man, you're new at this. You're not, Wolfmueller would not be my SMP guy, right? You're new. You're not walking in and preaching every other week. It'd be crazy. That's like saying oh yeah, we got Michael Jordan. I'm not Michael Jordan. We got who? We got Scottie Pippen. There we go. We got Scottie Pippen, and but we just drafted this new guy out of high school, and he might be good. Let's give him half and half time. No, you wouldn't. That's insane. That's what we do, by the way. It's just insane. So no, you're not gonna preach much. But I'll tell you this: nothing would make me. You gotta listen to this whole thing. If you're mad about what I just said, please follow through. My dream would be the day when, after I've been the preacher like that for so long, and I got a couple of young guys or old guys or whatever, and we're reaching Rockford in all sorts of cool ways, liturgical Lutheran ways, my dream would be that one of them, I go, wait a minute, you guys better than me. And I stop preaching Sunday mornings that day when he starts. It'd be a very hard day for me, I think, but also be a very good day. It is a prayer. What would I do? I would try to be a missionary. I would try, probably in the area. I'd try to start a church somewhere, in Chicago or something. And so don't think this is just ego here, right? It's about knowing gifts and understanding gifts and using gifts. And SMP is a gift from God to help us understand and use the gifts of men who are competent to teach, who manage their households well, who are gentle, who are not lovers of much wine, who want to bring the sacrament to shut-ins, who want to help the ministry of the church according to the oversight of their ordained and rightly called pastor. And they'd like to be ordained and rightly called too. And I don't see why we have to put them into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt over the course of the life of the loan and hamstring their temporal life that already may exist well. Why do we have to do that to make it happen? I mean, I get it. Oh, they're greedy. Well, so are you. Get over yourself. We're all greedy. You make the sacrifice. I mean, some of us have, by the way, pastors. And so we're like, well, I did. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Are you glad you did? Do you look back and relish the sacrifice of your financial income that you'll never get back? Now that you're out, 3 years in, 50 people, they don't like you. They're not listening. Nothing's going to change. You glad you did that? because we should be glad that we became pastors. And when we hamstring guys like this, we're not glad. We're bitter. Sorry, guys. Breaking the seal. I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to tell you, the Missouri Synod pastor roster, we are bitter men. We are bitter, cynical, and for good reason. This is not untoward on our part. It's merely human. And frankly, what we've been put through to get where we are, and then what we're finding. You take a guy, and you make him pay for his own Navy SEAL training, right? You got to pay for it yourself. Go into debt. Put your family in debt to become a Navy SEAL. All right, but when you do, we're going to send you over there, and you're going to stop the bad guys. And like, he's all up for it. You put him on the plane eventually. There are 4 years of training. He's had to drown. He's had to carry boats. I mean, you watch the Navy SEAL training, bot stuff. It's crazy. So he's done all this. He gets on the plane. And he's like, where are the other guys? Well, the other guys are coming. They'll be there when you get there. Oh, okay. And you fly him out there. It's like, so what am I doing? Oh, here's your knapsack. Your knapsack. Here's your parachute. Jump. Go, jump. Where's the other guys? Oh, there's a meeting in a couple weeks. Every month there'll be a meeting. Oh, okay. What am I supposed to do? You're supposed to, kill the devil. Yeah, make Christians. There you go. Go. Parachutes out. He's in the middle of Iraq. Battle for Ramadi. Going on right around him, right? And there's nobody. Comms, is there an evac available? Echo Niner, this is Pastor Fisk. You just dropped me into a hot zone. Is there Echo available? Do you have a problem, Pastor Fisk? Is the problem you? The problem's probably you. Never mind. It's okay. I'll fix it. You stop calling for help real fast. And you're alone. And you're hiding, and you're getting shot at, and you got no ammo. And you get bitter. I don't want to be bitter. I'm tired of us being bitter. So SMP, do it. Forgive me. We got to try something different. Let me tell you. There we go. Speaking of something different. What should I glean from Titus chapter 1? Well, God bless you. Let's probably end with this one here. Well, hold on. But what if the high school guy was LeBron? Would I replace a tenured Scottie Pippen 50-50 time with LeBron as a rookie? No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would. Now Pippen, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's not like he was the baller. But so let's do Michael, right? Because comparing LeBron to Pippen is not fair. Let's do Michael. Really? Fourth ring on, he's getting his fifth next year probably. Oh, we'll put a rookie in. Halftime. No, you wouldn't do it. And without, golly, now you really just set me off on this, Jimmy Dean. So here's the thing. I don't care who you're playing on your basketball team, right? And you do football, baseball, whatever. You put this in whatever context. Management in your office, I don't care. Whatever system you're using, you don't just arbitrarily split everything in half. 50-50. Oh, well, that was 3 minutes. Let's call timeout and get them shifted in. Make sure it's 50-50. You would never do that. Why? Because it would ruin what you're trying to do. The goal, whatever that goal is, would be obtruded by, that's not a word, would be obstructed by your need to follow some sort of weird shoehorn paradigm. And so that's what we do with the pastors then. It's all 50-50. And it's not like we're like watching the clock, but really? Every other weekend? Really? You'd think it's... What show do you watch that has a different main character every other weekend? What anything, anywhere. I can't even think of an example to try to compare it to. What anything, anywhere would be the same as two pastors and they just, and a group of people get together, 50 people get together, 70, 80, 150 people get together every week, and they listen to a guy talk for 15 minutes, but they listen to two guys and they flip every other weekend, and they never mention what the other guy said. They never engage publicly. You can't even come up with an example to show that it's a bad idea. It's that bad of an idea. It's so weird. It's so weird that that's how we would do it. It's so weird. Oh, but wait, we're going to go to Titus. I'm going to get rid of it. There we go. So, don't throw me off, comments. Don't. We're going to be out of time. Hold on. I got to get to the Bible. It takes a moment to do so. Let's see. Tools. But my easy Bible is right there. There we go. Do you like my green screen? Did it make the show better? Oh, Lord have mercy on me. I mean it. Not blasphemy, I swear. Let's see. I'm almost there. Okay, I gotta drag this over to there. And then if I do this, that didn't work. Come back. If I do this, there it is, kaboom. Titus chapter 1. What should you get from Titus chapter 1? Paul, a servant of God, apostle of Jesus Christ, for the truth, the elect, godliness, hope of life, God never lies. At the proper time, his word through the preaching has been entrusted. Cool. Oh, should I be a pastor? So I left you in Crete, so you might put what remain in order and appoint elders in every town as I directed. Isn't that interesting, this appointing of elders? Not call pastors? Wait, Titus is supposed to do this? What about the voters' assembly? Yeah, it doesn't always work that way in the Bible. Sometimes it does. But it would seem that, de jure humano, we can change these things to do what needs to get done. He wanted preachers, right? And so here they are. Titus, do it in every town as I directed you. If anyone is above reproach, that's kind of the key thing. Like, you just got to be a Christian. You shouldn't be a liar. We should know that you're not faking it. As far as we can tell, I mean, it's possible, but like, you're not a hypocrite. Like, you want to do theology as opposed to you're bored by theology. Husband of one wife, right? Not an adulterer. His children are believers. That's pretty key. Like, his kids are not off the deep end, at least not until they're adults. It's not even a litmus test that we use. We really should. It's like the most important one. Not open to the charge of debauchery or insubordination, right? So you're not a rabble rouser and a jerk, and you can't be called a drunkard. If all those things, be appointed as an elder. For an overseer, as God's steward. It's the same thing, by the way. Notice overseer and elder, same thing, right? Presbyter and episcopes, or bishop is another translation. An overseer as God's steward. What's he stewarding? The keys, the word. Must be above reproach. He must not be arrogant, right? Don't think too much of yourself. Quick-tempered, that is, got to have some patience. He mentions drunkenness again. Violence, greedy for gain, right? You're not going to make money. This is the thing. Well, the pastor should be willing to have a lower salary because that's the pious thing. Well, you're right. He's going to. So you're going to do it on purpose? That ain't right. Muzzle the ox while he's treading the grain? That ain't right. Hospitable, lover of good, self-controlled. Oh, there's one to look at. Yeah. How's your time management? Upright, holy, and disciplined. Disciplined, like discipled. Like that's his life, the habit of being a disciple of Jesus. He must hold firm to the trustworthy word as taught. Look at that. He has to love doctrine. Enough with this incessant doctrinal purification. Well, really? Paul seemed to think it was important. So that he may be able to give instruction in sound. The word here would be like healthy, well doctrine, lively doctrine, life-giving doctrine. Teaching. Doctrine means teaching. It means truth. Give instruction. Catechesis. I don't know if that's the word there in the Greek, but to give instruction in sound doctrine, to bring us lively truth. There are many who are insubordinate, empty talkers, deceivers, especially of the circumcision party. So legalism is there. People like to just say words and think it has meaning and have attention and all this. So we've got to be careful, especially when we're training men. They must be silenced. So you actually have to argue back against them. They upset whole families by teaching for shameful gain. So false teachers are always trying to get something out of the teaching itself, which is why they change it so it works better. They're teaching what they ought not to teach. One of the Cretans, a prophet of their own. So he quotes a pagan here. Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, lazy gluttons. You could say the same thing about Germans, Americans, whatever. It's all humans. Testimony is true. Therefore, rebuke them sharply, that they may be healthy, sound of the faith. Notice that. So you need a sharp rebuke to increase your faith. The trick with that, Paul, is that when you rebuke someone sharply, if they are in any way kind of entrenched in their self-justification, they're not going to take it sitting down. And so we don't. We don't rebuke anybody. Not devoting themselves to Jewish myths, like the millennium from earlier. Like we actually in the confessions quote this as why we shouldn't believe in the millennium. Is it is a Jewish myth. It goes back before Jesus, Jewish myth, and the commands of people who turn away from the truth. Maybe not before Jesus. Sorry, it might be Middle Ages. No, because Paul's referencing it. I'm curious now. Is it just the confessions or Paul who make this point? Now I'm really curious. I don't know. The commands of people who turn away from the truth. That's the thing. So they look at commands. They teach laws. They make up stuff. They tell you this is what you have to do. If we don't do that, we're not church. But it's not the doctrine. It's not the truth. To the pure, all things are pure, right? SMP. Right? SMP, mindfulness. To the pure, all things are pure. If you have justification, if you have real doctrine, you have trust in God, it's given to you by Jesus, Jesus alone, sacramentally delivered, regenerating the mind, well then, the first article is not a problem. Use it. Use it however you want. You use the ungodly wealth to make friends in heaven, all that kind of thing. But to the defiled and unbelieving, right, if you don't have it, if your conscience is not set free by the blood of Christ, well, nothing's pure. It's all bad. It's all self-justification the whole time. And you're just going to use it to build yourself up, and you're going to attack anybody who might threaten your little sandcastle you got built. Their minds and their consciences are defiled, right? Their consciences and minds. What a great set there, right? Their thinking and their heart. Oh, they profess to know God, but they deny Him by their works, right? Their practice does not line up with their theology. They are detestable, disobedient, unfit for any good work. Now, I don't really know. That's not what I want to do at all. I got to go back to this, and then do this. I don't really know what you were asking for. What should you glean? Hopefully I gave you a lot of stuff to glean there. We are coming up at like about 4 minutes left, so I'm going to wind this thing down for the day. I don't know what that conversation is from here, Brian. If you're talking about what I was talking about, like a bishop leading the church. Well, don't make him king. You don't give him absolute power. You need to have checks and balances. The funny thing about this is we all think this voter assembly is like protecting us and its checks and balances. We don't run it. We don't use it. And we don't realize that the pastor actually in the current system has so much more power than he really should. He just has to like run around all these meetings and influence people. But if he's got a wily mind on him, man, he could just tyrannize the place. And no one can stop him. There is no theological boundary set up at all in our constitutions. No liturgical boundary set up. You need something that would actually check him. So if you're talking governance, you're right. I'm not talking how we establish a nonprofit yet. That's an issue too, right? You need a governance for your nonprofit that does not allow the pastor to dupe you with his friendliness. And on this, how do I say this? Look, it's really easy. If your pastor's heterodox, you kick him out. I get it. It's not easy because you have to get over 60% of the congregation to do it. And that's the problem, isn't it? That 60% don't believe they can or should. No matter what, no matter how bad he is, something's wrong. If that's the case, something's really wrong. We got a cultural habit that we're running on, and it's turning to fumes. Thank you, Reformed Christian, for enjoying my stuff, even though I make fun of you, Reformed people. I don't really make fun of you. I disagree vehemently with Reformed people all the time. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. Hey, if you like the show and all the shows and any of the shows, could you go ahead and support me on Patreon if you don't already? Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like it, share this video, or whatever. What else? Sign up for the newsletter, which may or may not have as much this week because I'm a little behind, and all that kind of stuff. Check out Broken Echo, yada, 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 yada. Got to put bread on the table somehow, yeah? And we will catch you all on the flip side. Hey, this Saturday morning time, this chill, this is like it's not my favorite time of the week. I love my wife. Outside of my wife, this is my favorite time of the week. So thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to it next week. Should be available. There's an outside chance snow could stop next week's. Long story about a table. But otherwise, we'll see you next week. And if not, yeah, plenty coming down the pike. Catch you soon. Rock on.